same stream. Oh, that worked this time. That was weird. Okay, that was very weird. For the last like 3 minutes, YouTube's been trying to go live, and I decided to refresh the page, and it let me enter again, which it never lets me do. Normally, once you try it once, you're screwed. Wow. Yeah, I know Chicago just became the Pope. I know. I hope he's not a jerk, but we're going to talk about that because there's some good news on that front. Let me get my TikTok going, and then we're good. That was very weird. That was very weird. All right. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Excellent. Excellent, Smithers. All right. Hello, TikTokers. I should have put Pope in the title. I didn't think of that. I should have changed the title to Pope. That would have gotten us more traffic today. I mean, we are going to start talking about the Pope at the beginning. Some pretty funny Pope stuff, actually. Thank you, Ash. So welcome, guys. Welcome, TikTokers. Thank you, Carmine. Appreciate that. Hey, Running. Thank you, and Richard for the gifts. I am John Aravosis. Welcome all. This is my show. We do this Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, U.S. Thank you, Carol, for the gift. We talk about the latest news from Washington, talk about the latest news from Ukraine. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Big Hawk. Some international news as well. Thank you, Big Hawk, for the octopus. Carol, Max. As usual, I think we start a little late, but I'm still going to wait maybe 30 seconds. Hey, Tyler. Wait maybe 30 seconds for folks to join us, and then we'll get rolling here. But we're going to start talking about the Pope. Interesting news on the Pope front. They picked a Pope. The Catholics did. I don't have enough background on him yet, but he's interesting, which is not a bad thing. He's not a total right winger. He might be a right winger. We're going to see on LGBT stuff, for example, but very interesting, especially vis-a-vis Trump and Vance. Some really interesting stuff. Hey, Danny. So we're going to talk about that. There's actually a lot of Trump Washington news today. Some Ukraine news, not a ton, but there's some Russia news as well. So we're going to get into all of that. Let's get rolling. I always try to wait a second for people to join us, but let's get rolling anyway. So let's start talking about the Pope. Okay. Actually, the other thing to remind you of, thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Hellianne, for the gifts. Is Saturday is our coffee talk. So Saturday is the show, our hangout I do with all the paid monthly subscribers, people who have monthly subscriptions, as a thank you for you guys. So on TikTok, that's everybody who has SNN next to your name. Hey, Bjorn in Sweden. On Discord, it's everybody with a name that's a different color than white. And on YouTube, it's all the names that are green. So you guys make sure to show up Saturday morning, 11 a.m. It's nice. We do a hangout. It's just very cash, but it's just a chance to kind of hang out with me and talk. So kind of fun. So let's start talking about the Pope first. Very interesting. They picked this guy, Robert, what is it? Now I got to find his name. Robert Prevost, I think. He American from Chicago, spent like 2 decades in Peru, which is also interesting because basically he spent time in a poor country helping people. Like that was his mission, which is really cool. He's calling himself Pope Leo the 14th. Popes pick their own name, which is kind of wild. You kind of wonder, would it be interesting to know what the Cardinals, do they all like at what point do Cardinals pick their Pope name? They must all know their Pope name, right? He speaks several languages, as Annie just said, Italian, Spanish. I actually was bragging rights here. I was watching his speech, and it was interesting to hear his Italian is very good. I could understand his Italian, though, which makes me wonder how good his Italian is, because I understood his Italian perfectly, and my Italian's good, but, my Spanish is much better. To me, his Spanish sounded better than his Italian. But his Italian was great, but he was reading the Italian. His Spanish is 2 decades in Peru, right? Very good. But what's interesting with him is a couple things. One, on LGBT stuff, he had basically said some negative stuff like 13 years ago, like 2012 or something. He talked about sort of the Thank you, Candace. Candace says, you're literally the most interesting person on TikTok. Thank you. Rosie O'Donnell's, actually, I'm so excited. Rosie followed me today. I love Rosie. I've had her on my podcast before, but that doesn't mean we all follow each other. And I just got the notice Rosie followed me today. She's an American, now living in Ireland. Brilliant. I'm going to reach out to her about coming on the show. Rosie is brilliant about politics. Absolutely. I mean, this woman is scary smart about politics. She blew my mind when we had her on my podcast a couple of years ago. I mean, I know Rosie's intelligent. I didn't expect her to be one of the smartest people I've ever spoken to, generally, and also about politics in particular. I just didn't expect that. I don't know what I expected, but brilliant woman and very serious too. Anyway, so the Pope 13 years ago made a comment about LGBT stuff where he basically lamented the acceptance, the over acceptance in the culture of LGBT stuff like gay and trans. I think he called them homosexual relationships or homosexual lifestyle. So it wasn't even trans. It was about gay stuff. Who knows where he is now? Interestingly, and this is the most interesting. If you go to his Twitter feed, actually, I can pull this up on here because I grabbed pictures of his Twitter feed. If you go to his Twitter feed, he has his top tweet is, let me just pull this up and I'll show you. Oops. Hello. Come on, Mr. Pope. Mr. Pope. One moment. Get my glasses here. Basically, he criticized Trump and Vance in his Twitter feed, which blew my mind. This is the top tweet. So this is his Twitter feed, Robert Provost. Thank you, Floating Octopus. The account, little things you look at, for example, the account he joined in August of 2011. So that was the first thing I went, okay, 2011 means this wasn't somebody who just created the account to pretend he was the cardinal, right? Second of all, I did a little Googling. I saw the Daily Beast had already written it up. So the Daily Beast felt they had confirmation it was real. So I said, okay, that makes me feel better. The first tweet he's got from 3 weeks ago is a retweet. Retweets very often are endorsements. In this case, if you're the freaking one of the senior cardinals at the Vatican, when you retweet a story, it means you agree with it. Let me read you the tweet, okay? The tweet is about the meeting Trump and Bukele had. Bukele is the wannabe dictator of El Salvador, where Trump is sending all the illegal immigrants, not all, but a lot of them. Really kind of horrible what he was doing, right? Because they're sending it to this terrorist prison, this horror, and sending innocent people there. Well, he retweets somebody else saying, as Trump and Bukele, first of all, Trump and Bukele, it doesn't say President Trump. It doesn't say President Bukele, right? It says Trump. So it's already a little disrespectful. As Trump and Bukele use the Oval, meaning the Oval Office, to laugh at the federal government's illicit deportation. So they're calling the deportation Trump is doing illicit, meaning illegal, the illicit deportation of a U.S. resident, once an undocumented El Salvadoran himself, now DC Auxiliary Evelio, I don't know who that is, somebody Catholic in DC, asks, do you not see the suffering? Is your conscience not disturbed? How can you stay quiet? The guy who's Pope 3 weeks ago retweeted someone asking basically if Donald Trump's conscience is not disturbed, if our conscience is not disturbed at what Trump is doing, how can you stay silent in the face of what Donald Trump is doing? Not only, and this is where my political background comes in, not only is it interesting that the new Pope criticized Trump 3 weeks ago on immigration, much more interesting, and this gets almost political, he left the tweet up. This guy is now Pope. This guy knows his Twitter feed is live. One of the first things that would happen if you're running for Pope, but also if you become Pope, is you have to make a decision. Would you leave your social media up? Especially when the very first tweet on your Twitter account is criticizing Donald Trump and you're the new Pope, right? You absolutely positively would have to, I guarantee you, this man, the new Pope, had a discussion either with himself or with his advisors on whether or not he should delete this Pope, whether he should delete this tweet about Donald Trump. And he didn't delete it. He left it up. Now, I don't know if it's still there now. You guys can Google. This is his Twitter feed, Dr. Prevost, almost like Dr. Dr. Prevost, Prevost. Absolutely fascinating that he left the tweet. I mean, I keep not believing this is real, but I looked into it. The Twitter account is real. That is the guy's name. The Twitter account's been around for 14 years, right? Now the second thing is he has another tweet. The second tweet is going after JD Vance. This is from February. It's a tweet that is quoting an article. So the tweet actually is the headline of the article, but this is the new Pope tweeting this when he was a cardinal 2 months ago. 3 months ago now, actually. And the tweet says, JD Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. This gets better. The article, let me find this. This is in my notes. The article is talking about, and I didn't actually, I think I may have missed this from JD Vance. Okay, so it was there. Thank you, Justine. I mean, it was there 2 hours ago when I looked it up. JD Vance, a couple months ago, claimed, and JD Vance is a new Catholic. He converted to Catholicism in 2019. So thank you, Worley, for the gifts. Thank you, Crazy. Thank you, Crazy. Again, JD Vance converted to Catholicism in 2019. And he, here it is. He came out like 3 months ago and tried to give this, I'm a Catholic, and I'm going to tell you why Catholicism says we have to kick out all the immigrants. Actually, not just kick out all the immigrants. He's also talking about U.S. foreign aid and why we shouldn't help people around the world. And he tried to use Jesus and the Catholic Church to explain why America should not help poor people. Okay? The Catholic Church was not happy about this. That's what the new Pope was tweeting about 3 months ago as a cardinal. It gets better. Let me read this to you. Vance had claimed that a teaching known as Ordo Amoris justified MAGA crackdown on immigrants. Quote, this is what what Vance wrote. Or he said, actually, he said this in, oh, you know what? This is that interview that Vance had in January. Remember the video interview that got him into a lot of trouble? I think this might be the one where he talked about women too, like violence against women and this kind of crap. Listen to this. Vance says, you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your country. And then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world. He tried to claim that Catholicism is about varying degrees of caring about people. And you care about your family first, and everybody else, not so much, especially once you get farther away. Right? Like your country isn't as important as your community, and foreigners don't matter much at all. Again, the Catholic Church, by the way, Catholic Relief Services is an international charity, might be the biggest in the world. It's certainly the biggest religious one, I'll guarantee you, in the world. Like the Catholics go, whatever you say about the Catholic Church, they go all over the world and do charity work. And they really do. And it's very expensive, and they do a lot. Pope Francis had spoken out about this. He spoke out against Vance. And Leo basically retweeted the criticism of Vance. Thank you, Succeed. But again, what's fascinating is not just that, because let's face it, I mean, Pope Francis also criticized JD Vance so it's less of a deal that Leo did it too. But the fact that Leo left up the criticism of Trump and the criticism of Vance is fascinating to me, because again, that was a political choice. I guarantee you one of his aides came up and said, okay, do you really want to leave your Twitter account up? Do you really want to leave those tweets up? Your final tweet, mind you, your final tweet from 3 weeks ago is criticizing Donald Trump. And the Pope said, yes, I'm going to leave it up. Now, let's see if he changes it in the next couple of days. I wouldn't be surprised if the Trump people are reaching out going, right? It's pretty amazing. It really is, though. And that's what I'm saying. Like, my political background is that I guarantee you he went through the thought process of whether he was keeping that tweet up. So let's see how he turns out. Let's see if he's conservative or liberal or whatever he is. I don't think he's liberal, but there are already some signs of him being a decent human being and who cares about people in need and that kind of stuff, which is not a bad thing, right? Not bad at all. But man, his top tweet is criticizing President Trump, the Pope. His top tweet. Man, it doesn't get worse than that. Does not get worse than that. Trump today, thank you, Stephanie, claimed that he had a new trade deal with Britain. Not really. He doesn't. He really doesn't. This story kind of bothered me. We had heard last night that Trump claimed, I'm going to have a new trade deal with a big ally, big country, important country. And last night, the assumption was, it ended up being true, that he was going to announce a framework of a deal, but not a deal. And everyone is now trying to claim, Trump announced a deal with Great Britain. No, he didn't. Trump announced like an agreement in principle to lower tariffs on a number of goods. And they named several of the goods like cars and other stuff that we agree we're going to lower tariffs on, but they actually haven't agreed yet. And they haven't done the negotiations. Bingo. User 212, that was perfect. A concept. Exactly. They agreed to, or Maria, concepts of a deal. Right. They agreed to concepts of a deal. And that's it. Now, there is some detail. They said that they're going to cut tariffs on autos, steel, and aluminum. But again, it's not a done deal. They haven't done the negotiation yet. Hold on. I'm going to adjust my temperature is getting cold in this room. Let me adjust it for a second. Okay, AC off. There we go. A little cold here. All right. There we go. Okay. My AC is now off. That's better. So who knows? I mean, yay, I guess, right? If he can reach a new deal, that's great, But I'm not convinced yet. The problem is these agreements in principle don't mean anything. You can still change your mind. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Phoenix, for the gift for the octopus. What else? We do have a lot of stories here. Trump. Oh, God. The news yesterday. Trump is now going to be sending immigrants who are here illegally to Libya. War-torn Libya. Most interesting aspect of the story is apparently a lot of the immigrants, people who crossed the border illegally, came in here illegally. A lot of the immigrants Trump is going to send to Libya are Asians. They're Asians. I mean, like, just to add, it's bad. Libya is a disaster. Libya is a war-torn, warlord disaster of a place. You don't send people there. But to send people from Asia to Libya is in North Africa, he's doing it to basically mock them. And the news even said that this is about Trump trying to, thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Addie, for the flame. This is about Trump trying to, I'll explain right now, why Libya? This is about Trump trying to punish people who come here illegally and make it so that nobody else wants to come. That's why he's sending them to terror prisons in El Salvador. That's why he's sending them to Libya. The idea is if you come to America illegally, we will send you to the worst hellhole on earth, whether that's a prison in El Salvador or whether that's a warlord in Libya. And if you're from Asia, you really don't want to be dropped in the middle of a warlord in Libya, right? Or, well, frankly, if you're from anywhere, you don't want to go there. The problem is, when did we stop being human? Like, I'm not a big fan of illegal immigration. We've talked about this. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think people should be here illegally. But does that mean you should be inhuman to them? Does that mean you should take innocent people and send them to a terrorism prison in a third world country where human rights abuses? I mean, right? Like, the point is, can we do that to you? If whoever agrees with this, if you break a law, can we abuse your human rights? Can we send you to Libya? Why not? Right? That'll teach you a lesson. That'll send the message never to do it again. I mean, generally speaking, if we're good Americans and good human beings, we believe in the rule of law. And we also believe in proportionate punishment or proportional punishment. I have no problem with kicking people out who are here illegally, in principle. But I don't think their human rights should be abused. I don't think they should be sent to be tortured, right? Crossing the border illegally, bad. You should leave. Okay. Should you be tortured for it? No. Right? I mean, it's right. The phrase, Emily, that we use in the law in America is cruel and unusual punishment. The punishment should be proportional, right? If you cheat on your taxes, should we send you to a terror prison in Libya if you get your taxes wrong? I mean, because I guarantee you, the people who are defending this would not agree with that, because I guarantee you some of them have gotten their taxes wrong at some point. I guarantee you. And they would say, well, okay, how about if you have a traffic violation? Should we send you to a terror prison in Libya or in El Salvador? You went through a red light. You go through a red light, you could kill somebody. And you say, doesn't it send a good message to prevent people from doing it again? Sure. I guess you could just exterminate all of them, which would be completely inhuman and an incredible war crime. But, right? I mean, you could give just the death penalty to people committing every crime. Wouldn't that arguably stop people from committing crimes? Right? It would. I mean, let's just use that argument. Somebody just said, well, wouldn't that stop people from coming? Yeah, it would be a deterrent. So would the death penalty. You see a lot of sci-fi shows have this as a plot. The death penalty for any crime. Star Trek had it. A number of other shows have had it. Death penalty for any crime would be a great deterrent to stop people from committing crimes. They wouldn't blow through red lights. They wouldn't walk on the lawn if the lawn said no walking, right? They wouldn't show up late for school. They wouldn't cheat on their taxes. They wouldn't speed. Why don't we do that then? Because it works, right? It would deter people. I mean, that's the problem. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you take the example to that point, even the people who defend this go, well, I don't think we should do that, right? So just because something, thank you. That's cute, the crowd. Thank you, Annie. Right? Just because something is a good deterrent doesn't mean we should be doing it. In any case, this is pretty sick too. Trump is asking the Supreme Court today to allow him to end humanitarian parole for hundreds of thousands of immigrants from 4 countries, setting them up for deportation. These are people here who got basically allowed to come into our country under extraordinary circumstances for humanitarian reasons. 500,000 people. Listen to the countries. Listen to the immigrants from these countries. And these are truly like asylum, right? Listen to the countries these people came from that he wants to kick them out. Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Now, I'm going to put Haiti aside for a minute. Haiti is a disaster, but Haiti politically is not an asylum case. It's not. It's an economic case. The country is a disaster. But let's put Haiti aside politically. Cuba. People are fleeing Cuba because it's a communist dictatorship. Republicans are the most stalwart defenders of Cubans against Castro. Well, the Castro brothers. It's now the Castro brother, I guess, who's left, right? Communist dictatorship. It's now the Republican Party's position that we should deport Cuban emigres? Really? People who escaped the communist dictatorship in Cuba should be expelled from the United States? That's the Republican Party position. I mean, I don't understand. Trump had talked about this before. I don't quite understand. And again, this comes with Democrats and others. I don't quite understand why people are not able to use this stuff against Trump. Cubans all voted for Trump. Tell them that he's planning on deporting all of their family members who came here escaping the regime. Venezuela, same thing. Thank you, Aubrey, for the gift. Venezuela, horrific regime, horrifically corrupt regime. The Republicans especially hate the Venezuelan dictator. We don't like him either, but the Republicans really don't like him. And we're going to kick out the people fleeing the Venezuelan dictator who the Republicans hate. Thank you, Luis. Finally, Nicaragua. Same thing in Nicaragua. The Sandinistas are still there. That idiot, what's his face? Daniel Ortega, dictator, socialist dictator. And again, horrific, pro-Russian. I mean, horrific guy. Republicans are like, this goes back to Ronald Reagan standing up to Ortega. Remember the Iran-Contra stuff, the Contras in Nicaragua, when we were trying to overthrow the socialist government because they're pro-Soviet and ran dictators themselves. Now we don't. Now suddenly do we support Ortega now? Is that what the Republicans do? I'm a little confused. Right? It just blows my mind. The Associated Press is just reporting that up to 1,000 openly identifying transgender troops are going to be kicked out of the military immediately under a Pentagon order. I'm assuming under Biden's, which is also the danger of this, under Biden's policy, you could be openly transgender. So therefore, people started coming out. And now the ones that are out, and Trump is saying, gotcha, we're going to kick you out. So he's going to kick out 1,000 transgender troops. Trump praised the Houthi terrorists. This was kind of fascinating too. Thank you, Luis. The Houthi rebels run Yemen, or they run a lot of Yemen. Yemen country, Middle East, kind of near Saudi, a little bit east of Saudi Arabia, on the Persian Gulf, like the, sort of off of Africa to the east, to the right of Africa. And the Houthis are terrorists, and they routinely go and blow up international shipping, just attack ships from all over the world. It's a hugely important commercial area for ships going through that area. I mean, hugely important for the commerce of the entire world in that area. And thank you, user 336. Thank you, Luis, again. And we've been bombing them to make them stop doing this. Well, Trump reached some kind of deal with the Houthis to get them to stop bombing at least American ships. I don't know whether it's all shipping. And listen to what Trump said yesterday about the Houthis. Listen to this. These guys are terrorists. I mean, unless you're like far left or something, nobody thinks the Houthis are any good. They're terrorists. This is what Trump had to say about these people. We hit them very hard, the Houthis. We hit them very hard. They had a great capacity to withstand punishment. They took tremendous punishment. You can say there's a lot of bravery there. It was amazing what they took, but we honor their commitment and their word. He praised the freaking Houthi terrorists in Yemen and said how brave they are, and we should honor their commitment, because when Trump bombed them, mind you, when Trump bombed them, they stood up to him and said, no, we're going to keep committing acts of terror. So actually what's going on here is Trump is praising the Houthi terrorists for continuing to commit acts of terror, even though Trump bombed them and said, stop. I mean, think about that, right? It's now U.S. policy that if terrorists ignore us and keep committing terrorism, we're going to say, hey, that was pretty brave of you. I got to say, I'm impressed. I mean, right? This is incredible. He's defending terrorists. And again, why bomb them? If they're brave and you admire them, then why are you bombing them? It's absolutely unbelievably incredible. Absolutely unbelievably incredible. He wasn't being sarcastic at all. He wasn't being sarcastic. Are you kidding me? This is Donald Trump. Donald Trump reveres these guys. Absolutely reveres these guys. They're terrorists, and he admires them. Congratulations. Absolutely unbelievable. Thank you, Jamie, or J. Marie, I should say. Thank you, Luis, again. Good news. The U.S. attorney nominee is toast. So I've told you, in Washington, D.C. is set up a little differently. Thank you, Abs, in terms of the city, and because we're not a state, we're a city, and we're a federal district. And the top law enforcement officer, the top prosecutor, is somebody who works for the Justice Department. It's a U.S. attorney. And the guy that Trump picked was a guy who's never been a prosecutor. I mean, the top prosecutor in Washington, D.C. to prosecute crime. Trump picked a guy who's never been a prosecutor, no experience. He's a far-right MAGA activist, and I mean activist. This guy is the one who's been sending letters to people all over town saying, remember, he's the one who wrote to the medical journals and said, your medical journal is too woke and we're going to investigate you. And we were like, how is a medical journal woke? And why would the U.S. attorney in Washington, D.C., the Justice Department, investigate a medical journal for publishing studies that the Justice Department thinks are too woke? What does that mean, right? He's threatened members of Congress with prison. He's a nut job. Well, I did not realize how bad. Well, bottom line is, he's so crazy that a Republican members of Congress, Senator Tom Tillis, finally spoke up and said, I'm not going to support this guy, and his nomination died. Because to his credit, now, all the other Republicans support this lunatic, but the one Republican senator, Tom Tillis, stepped up and said, I'm not supporting this guy. He's a nut job, and his nomination is now dead. They're having to pick somebody else. I want to read you a little bit more about who this guy is who Donald Trump picked as the top law enforcement official for Washington, D.C., okay? And I've got to be careful how I read this. Martin, his name, Ed Martin, the guy Trump picked to be U.S. attorney in Washington, has a podcast. He had a man on his podcast named Timothy Hale Cusinelli. Timothy Hale Cusinelli has dressed up like the German leader from World War II. He likes to dress up like that man from World War II who led the Germans. Can't say his name. His guest on the podcast has sketched cartoons depicting Jewish people as pigs. He once declared he was going to kill all Jewish people. I mean, I don't want to get it too much because it's horrific stuff. This is the Trump official. This is the guy who Trump nominated for a top job in Washington, D.C. Okay? A guy who embraced somebody like this. He also is one of the most passionate defenders of the January 6th terrorists who tried to violently overthrow our government in Washington, D.C. for Donald Trump. They tried to violently overthrow the election on January 6th, 2021. He's one of their top defenders of those people. And that's what finally got the Republican senator, was the fact that this guy was one of the top January 6th defenders. Now, mind you, Donald Trump is the top January 6th defender. Donald Trump is the guy who took the domestic terrorists, 1,500 terrorists, and freed them from prison with pardons. People who tried to violently overthrow our government, and Donald Trump freed them all. Ed Martin is his name. So that was good news, at least. Elon Musk, corruption, what a surprise. The Trump administration is pushing countries facing tariffs to approve Elon Musk's Starlink in their country. What a surprise. The kleptocracy continues. Christmas is in danger now. So I'd heard about this, but I didn't get the details until today. I was talking to you guys about how many American toys come from China and other gifts come from China. Well, I had no idea how bad this was as far as we are looking at Christmas. We're looking at the 4th of July, actually, too, but Christmas having nothing on the store shelves. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Crazy. Thank you, Mikey. Keep the gifts coming, guys. I appreciate it. Listen to this. China is the source. I should preface this. I assume you guys know. Trump has put 145% tariffs on China. That is a tax on goods coming in from China to the U.S., and it effectively cuts all trade to a halt. If you have to pay 145% tax on something you bought from China, meaning if you buy something for $100, you have to pay $145 extra in tax on the $100. So $245 for something worth $100. If you buy something worth $1,000, you've got to pay $450. Okay. That's how much it pretty much has shut down all trade with China. Listen to the goods we get for holidays in America from China. China is the source of 74% of the US's imported toys and games. Oh, it gets worse. 87% of our Christmas decorations come from China. This one blew my mind. 87% of America's Christmas decorations come from China. They're all gone. They're gone. This is a Reuters story. The Reuters story is saying how basically Chinese ships are dumping all the American goods, like the Christmas stuff. They're dumping it into the ocean, which is horrific because there's nothing else they can do. They can't bring them to the U.S. Guys, 87% of American Christmas decorations are gone this holiday season. Okay. Christmas trees. 80% of all Christmas trees in the U.S. are artificial, which is an interesting number, 80%. Okay. 80%. So listen to this. 80% of all Christmas trees in the U.S. are artificial. Listen to this. Pre-lit Christmas trees that already have lights on them, the fake ones, which I own. So the fake trees that have lights on them, every single one is made in China. Every single one. Generally, when people buy artificial trees now, they get the ones with lights. They're all from China. 4th of July, fireworks. Guess what percentage of America's 4th of July fireworks come from China? 97%. So we can kiss the 4th of July goodbye now, too. I mean, now, Trump may get lucky. Like 4th of July, maybe the fireworks are already here. Christmas, forget it. We're going to be in real trouble for Christmas. Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, one of the big problems with Christmas is going to be, even if Trump reaches some deal with China in 3 months or 4 months, it's going to be too late. These companies can't wait until September to start putting in orders for Christmas toys and for Christmas decorations, right? I mean, think about this. I remember this from a few years ago. I don't know in Europe. I'd be curious in Europe and other countries if they do this. In the US, you start to see Christmas stuff on sale, like all the Christmas decorations, in August. August is usually the first time you see Christmas decorations on sale in stores. And it's crazy. I remember a couple of years ago seeing it and going, August. In order to get Christmas decorations imported from China for August, you've got to order them months in advance. They've got to be made and they've got to be shipped over, right? Amy, I'm feeling a little trolly here, but we're going to give you another chance. Amy said, who cares? Who wants stuff from China? Since math seems to be a problem here, 97% of our fireworks come from China, which means we're not going to have fireworks for the 4th of July. 80%, excuse me, not even 80%. Every single artificial Christmas tree with lights on it comes from China. We're not going to have artificial Christmas trees. Okay? 87% of our Christmas decorations come from China. So we're not going to have Christmas decorations this Christmas. I do not think I should need to explain why maybe it's a problem that Americans will not be able to buy Christmas decorations this year. Americans will not be able to buy fake Christmas trees this year. Americans will not be able to have 4th of July celebrations this year. It's obvious why that would be a problem. It's obvious politically alone, people will freak out if they can't. And the toys, a huge proportion of our toys come from China. Thank you, Spider. A huge portion of American toys that we buy for our kids come from China. Trump has already admitted that most of those are going away. He said, instead of 30 dolls, you'll only be able to buy 2 or 3 dolls for your children now. He said, normally you'll be able to buy 30. You can only buy 2 or 3 now. That means 10% of the toys are going to remain. Okay? He said the remaining toys are going to get more expensive. Actually, let me read you this quote from Reuters just to put a finer point on it. And this quote was interesting. This quote was the actual Reuters journalist. It wasn't even quoting somebody else. Reuters says, if Americans want new Christmas decorations this year, they will have to pay a lot more for them if they can find them on the shelves at all. I mean, seriously. Like, seriously. Christmas decorations are going to be gone this year. Unbelievable. Stockholm. This story is actually kind of funny. It's sick, but it's funny. The Trump people have been going around the world trying to bully foreign governments and foreign companies into no longer protecting the civil rights of their workers. This is part of Trump's larger campaign to basically no longer defend civil rights and to basically discriminate against everybody. Well, they threatened the city of Stockholm, that the city of Stockholm, the US government threatened the city of Stockholm, Sweden, and said, you better drop all of your city's civil rights protections or we're going to stop doing business with you. And the city of Stockholm told the US government to go Trump itself. Listen, this cracked me up. The embassy began the letter with Dear City. This came from a Swedish paper. The embassy began the letter with Dear City Planning Office, and then explains that a new policy requires that anyone from whom U.S. government agencies purchase goods and services must sign a contract promising not to have civil rights protections for their staff, right? The City Planning Office is expected to sign and return the contract within 10 working days. The Swedish government goes, we absolutely do not intend to do that. It is the opposite of everything we stand for. They should withdraw these strange things. I like that quote. They should withdraw these strange things. He says, it is the embassy, because it was the U.S. embassy that wrote to the Stockholm city. It is the embassy that benefits from the city of Stockholm, not the other way around. He said, if the U.S. terminates its relationship with the city planning office, the embassy will have difficulty obtaining a building permit if they want to rebuild, for example, or do any other kind of construction on their embassy. He goes, that is their headache, not ours. They're threatening, Trump is threatening Stockholm, Sweden to no longer have civil rights protections in Sweden. I mean, it's not funny. They did this in Italy too. It's not funny. This is the radicalism we've been talking about. This is so beyond the pale. I mean, guys, he's supposed to be focusing on inflation. He was elected to fix inflation. In response, we now aren't going to have any Christmas decorations. And the ones we have, the price is going to be through the roof, according to Reuters that I just read you. He was supposed to fix inflation. He's making inflation worse. His tariffs are going to make it impossible for us to buy many things because he put a tax on everything we buy. And he was supposed to fix that. And instead, he's running around the world doing this weird culture war thing that has nothing to do. By the way, how am I benefited as an American if the Swedish government drops its civil rights protections? But I mean, forget the weird ethics and morals of it. Just as from a selfish point of view, how do I benefit as an American if Trump spends all this time getting the city of Stockholm to no longer have civil rights protections for its employees? Why do I care? How does that benefit me? Does that make the inflation rate better? No. Does that bring the price of eggs down in America? No. Right? Does it make cars and homes and apartment buildings more affordable? No. Why is he doing it? Because we elected an activist. We elected an activist. We didn't elect somebody who actually cares about people like you and me and fixing the problems that affect people like you and me. It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. Melania was seen like the what do you call the groundhog. Melania showed her face today. I don't think she saw her shadow. This story blew my mind. So Melania Trump has been hiding. She has been, I'm going to tell you this. Let me have you guess. It's been 108 days since Trump was sworn in as president. 108, okay? How many days do you think Melania Trump has been in the White House? Of those 108 days, how many days do you think she's been in the White House? Trump's wife, okay? I'll give you a second, and then we'll jump in here, okay? I know, because I said it that way, people are giving a low number. And I love the story because the story said some people inside the White House said this is a generous number, meaning this number is too high. 14 days out of 108. Out of 108 days, she's been there 14. She doesn't live with him anymore, and she won't live with him. And she's living God knows where, Florida, New York, who knows, right? Remember before they were talking about, remember last time? She has to take care of Barron, their son, so she can't be in the White House and all this kind of, they made excuses for her, right? This time, Barron's an adult now. And isn't he in college now? Right? 2 weeks. He's been in office January, February, March, April, 3.5 months he's been in office. She's been in the White House for 2 weeks and got the hell out of there. And again, we were making excuses that it was all about Barron, except Barron's in school now. So it's not about Barron. Oh, well. All right. A little bit of Ukraine news. Ukraine, it is day 1,168 of the Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Victory in Europe Day. So today is the day, my nose is itching. Today is the day that Europeans celebrate victory in Europe in World War II, the victory against the Germans. Tomorrow is the day the Russians do it. The Russians do it a different day because the Russians like to pretend that they were the only people that actually fought in World War II. Actually, we saved the Russians behind. The Brits did as well in World War II with Lend-Lease. And the Russians, I've told this story the other day. I won't go through all the details now, but we also, the Russians helped start World War II. They actually had a secret deal with the Germans and told the Germans, go and invade Europe. We're not going to give you any trouble. If you invade Europe, we're not going to attack you. And the Germans were like, oh, that's fabulous, because the Germans were worried about whether they'd go to war with Russia, and maybe they couldn't invade Poland and everybody else, Czechoslovakia, all these countries, France eventually, if they had to go to war with the Russians too. And the Russians said, oh, you're fine, right? So the Russians like to pretend like they were the great saviors of World War II. That's why they have their own day tomorrow, when in fact, Russia really started World War II. They were on the side of the Germans. The only reason they ended up fighting the Germans was because 2 years later, the Germans turned around and stabbed the Russians in the back by invading Russia. Literally, they were allies of the Germans. And the Germans turned around and invaded them. And then it was like, what do you do? What do you do? So that was pretty funny. And then after the war, of course, what did the Russians do after the war? After they saved Europe, they love to talk about how they saved Europe. Yeah, they saved Europe, and every country they were in, they then took over the country and created like 12 communist dictatorships. They controlled these countries. These countries were puppets. These countries were no longer free. They were basically part of the Soviet Union that Russia was running. They installed communist dictatorships in all of these countries, and they were brutal, murderous dictatorships, some of the worst the world has ever seen. For 45 years, these poor countries in Europe were captured by the Russians. That's what the Russians are trying. And my favorite part is, since Yulia is here today, I don't want to forget to mention the Ukrainians here. My favorite part is, part of the reason now Putin does this whole victory celebration against the Germans thing is, the Russians like to pretend like, like they were the ones that beat the Germans, right? Sure, whatever. I mean, a lot of them died fighting the Germans after they were allies of Germany. And a lot of them died fighting the Germans after we helped save their butt by giving them lots of weapons and like a lot of radios and other stuff they needed, train cars, all sorts of stuff. But they, the Russians like to pretend, and Putin did it again today. Oh, we had to fight the Enzis, the N people, the Germans, right? That we don't like to use the word because TikTok gets upset, but the Enzis, right? In World War II. And now we're fighting the Enzis in Ukraine. Russia likes to claim that Ukraine is run by, those Germans from World War II. Actually, Ukraine is run by a Jew. Zelensky is Jewish, right? His family died in World War II. Like but this is Russia. This is the kind of lies and propaganda that comes out of Russia. In any case, so today is Victory Day in Europe. Trump announced it's going to be Victory Day in America too. Tomorrow is going to be Victory Day in Russia. Nobody cares about that. What was interesting was Trump. Oh God, I've got to see if I have this. I don't know. I think I have this. Hold on. Trump tweeted, as only Trump can do. Trump tweeted about Victory Day, because he's announcing today is going to be victory, because Americans never celebrated today for World War II. And the Europeans did. And Trump finally decided we're going to do it too in America. Hold on. I have to find you this. Here we go. Here we go. This is what Trump, I'm trying to crop this a little to get rid of the other tweets around it. Here we go. This is the tweet Trump did, honoring our victory against the Germans in World War II. I kid you not, this is Trump's tweet today. Now, I'm going to explain this a little. The Americans will know what this is. The Europeans will have to explain this. But again, this is Trump's tweet honoring the American victory against the Germans in World War II. It's an image of a famous American monument to the Battle of Iwo Jima in the Pacific Ocean, fighting the Japanese. It was, I'm not as much of a World War II historian. Some people said this was the pivotal battle in World War II, but it was against the Japanese, that is. Okay. Trump tweeted a picture, a famous picture. This is now a monument of our battle against the Japanese to commemorate our battle against the Germans. I kid you not. Now, it gets even better. This is the monument I was telling you all about a couple of weeks ago. Remember, we talked about the American Indian, and he uses the word Indian, by the way. Indian meaning Native American, but he uses the word Indian. He's Pima is his tribe, and they're Pima Indians. I had his name earlier. I'm forgetting the name now. If somebody wants to look it up, I wouldn't mind saying his name. He's got a three-part name. Somebody look up his name. I want to get it. Ira Hayes. Thank you, Michael. Ira Hayes. His name is Ira Hayes. He's a Pima Indian. And he was one of these men that lifted this flag during this, pivotal battle in the Pacific. And thank you, Gothic. Trump had this guy's biography erased from the Pentagon website because he's an Indian. Not India from India, but Indian meaning Native American. They deleted his biography from the Pentagon website because it was too woke. Because Trump won't allow anything that sounds like civil rights. The man was being honored because he was an American hero. By the way, an American hero pretty early on, right? This is 80 years ago. He was an American hero who happened to be a Native American, which is frankly a reason you might want to celebrate, considering, right? It's sort of people that we didn't treat very well, yet he turned around and was an American hero. That's pretty amazing, really, right? Considering the history. They erased the man's history from the Pentagon website. And by the way, the history was about him doing this. Trump is bragging about this when this is what he erased from the Pentagon website. And again, this picture is about Japan. It's in the Pacific. It's not even the Germans in World War II, which is what today is celebrating, the Germans in World War II. He is so out of his depth. He is so out of his depth. It is so embarrassing. And by the way, Trump also, as you know, dodged the draft. And he also made lots of comments about our troops. He called them suckers and losers for being prisoners of war and killed in action. His former chief of staff said he called our troops suckers and losers. He's always had contempt for the troops. It's very sad. In any case, let's go on here. Ukraine's parliament has ratified the mineral deal with the U.S., so that's good news, I guess. This was a story that I was having a hard time kind of understanding here because nobody has explained it I'm going to read it to you, but nobody explained this very well. Ukraine is considering shifting away from the U.S. dollar. Thank you, Nauseous, for the gift. Keep the gifts coming, guys. I do this for a living. Your gifts pay the bills, so thank you. I'm just going to read you from Reuters. Ukraine is considering shifting away from the U.S. dollar, possibly to link its currency more closely to the euro. Central bank governor, blah, 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 told the outlet 4 key aspects are forcing a review. Potential accession to the European Union, a strengthening of the European Union's role in boosting Ukraine's defense, greater volatility in global markets, and the probability of global trade fragmentation. Ukraine launched the hryvnia, its currency, in 1996, and over the decades, it has used the dollar as the reference currency. Immediately after Russia's invasion in 2022, the Central Bank of Ukraine imposed capital controls and pegged the hryvnia at an official rate of about 29 to the dollar. Ukraine was forced to devalue later. And then in October 2023, they sort of loosened the exchange ties to the dollar. But basically, up until now, for the last 30 years, the Ukrainian currency was at least tied to the US dollar. The Ukrainians are now saying, you know what? Maybe it's time to move on from the Americans. And maybe it's time that we tied ourselves to the Europeans. Now, Ukraine is a European country, but it's also the fact that guess who they can't count on anymore? The Americans. Guess who stabbed the Ukrainians in the back? The Americans. Donald Trump, right? Guess who's best friends with the Russians and not the Ukrainians? Donald Trump, the Americans. Ukraine but the problem is, this is how the U.S. loses influence around the world because of what Donald Trump is doing. And Trump and his people think there's no problem with telling our allies to go to hell and telling our friends to go to hell and sucking up to our enemies like he does in Russia and North Korea. There is a problem. There's a real problem with it. Thank you for the crown. Who is that? Thank you, Dawn. Really bad. Yeah, exactly. Are we great yet? Exactly. Losing influence around the world, but we're also losing the influence of the dollar and our economy, which is huge American influence, that the dollar is the main currency around the world, at least for international trade, right? Very scary. Yeah, look at the Canadians too. Yeah, somebody mentioned the Canadians. Courtney did. Look at the Canadians, right? We're talking about invading Canada. If I were a Canadian, I would do everything I could to dissociate with the U.S. We were looking at free trade and everything else. At this point, I would say forget it. Do not tie your economy to the U.S. I would limit. You're going to have to do trade because we're a neighbor. I would limit the trade as much as possible, and I would get free trade agreements with other big countries if you could do it. Even China, if you have to. It's horrible doing it with China because it's dangerous, but at this point, you can't trust us anymore. Military, unfortunately, Canada is going to need to disconnect itself from our military. The problem for Canada is so much of their military is tied in with ours, like NORAD. They use NORAD, which is like our kind of surveillance of the skies place out in was it Colorado? The Canadians fly, as I recall, joint missions with us and stuff, and they use NORAD. They're going to have to basically disconnect themselves from the entire sort of U.S. military apparatus because we talk about this. How can you trust buying American weapons at this point when we're one election away from a crazy person coming in who hates you and who's going to cut off the weapons, cut off your money, possibly invade your country? If we're going to invade your country, guess what? The first thing we're going to turn off all your weapons, right? So why would you want American weapons? Why would you want to be tied into the American military if there's now a real chance that the American military might attack you if you're one of our allies? We're already threatening war with Panama. Well, we are Panama, but we're threatening war with Canada, and we're threatening war with Denmark, and we're threatening war with Greenland. 3 NATO allies that we're threatening war with. Why the hell would you want to be in a military alliance with us, let alone be militarily tied to us? I would buy my weapons from anybody but the Americans at this point, which is very sad. So, right. And you can't trust Starlink either. That's a good point, Gerald. Right. You can't trust Starlink either. Because Elon Musk will cut it off, or Donald Trump will have him cut it off. Right. Because you aren't nice enough to Trump, or padding his pockets or whatever. Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Oh, there we go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There, that was one I had to do. Why isn't Canada self-sufficient? Because it's an idiotic economic theory that nobody who studied economics actually believes in. Countries aren't supposed to be self-sufficient. Argentina tried that 100 years ago, and it destroyed Argentina. A number of other countries did too. Argentina was like one of the 6 richest countries in the world over 100 years ago, and they decided, we don't need anybody else. We're going to make our own. Argentina even made its own cars. They literally were making their own car. I don't mean making foreign cars. Argentina had its own auto industry, and it failed. Because it is economically idiotic. It's called autarky in economics, actually. It's this concept of we should make all of our own stuff. Well, there's no way you can be good enough at making all of your own stuff. Somebody is always going to make something better, or they're going to make it cheaper. And sometimes it makes more sense, not sometimes, it makes a lot more sense for you to, for example, why didn't you study medicine and law and engineering, right? You could fix stuff around your house. You could be your own doctor. You could be your own lawyer. Why didn't you study all 3 of those in school? Oh, you mean you focused on one degree and you decided you would do a career in engineering or accounting? And then if you needed a lawyer, you'd hire a lawyer. And if you needed a doctor, you'd hire a doctor. That's the whole point. That's how it works in international trade as well. You focus on the stuff you're good at, and you basically exchange, you barter, right? You do trade with other people, other countries, same concept, right? The doctor, I go to a doctor, he gives me services, I give him money. But it is considered, it's called autarky, like I said, autarky. And it's considered economically incredibly foolish because it's just, it's inefficient. Bottom line is you're wasting money. Here's the other reason, by the way. Here's the other reason. So my nose is still itching. I'm an American consumer. What you're suggesting is I should pay $500 more for my television I buy? Really? You want me to buy the American TVs instead? That America should make all its own televisions? I got a great Chinese TV. It was not cheap. I love my Chinese TV, by the way, Hisense. It's a great Chinese TV. It was not cheap. I'm supposed to pay $500 more for that damn TV? Seriously? So I can buy American, right? If we make everything here, some of the things are going to be a lot more expensive. And you're telling me, and again, anybody who claims they're okay with it, they're lying. They're not okay with it. Nobody is okay with paying $500 more for a television. They're not. They'd be like, yeah, it's nice if we have our own industry. I'm not paying $500 more for a TV. And, whatever. I mean, we've got our own car industry. That's a little different. But yeah. I did. I'm going to look it up right now, guys. Hang on. Everyone's talking about Jeanine Pirro, it's crazy. She might actually be okay, but it's crazy. He's such a weirdo. Oh God, he did. So Trump appointed another Fox News host as the new U.S. attorney in DC. He picked her because she's on Fox News and she looks good on Fox News. Oh God. This is what he does. I'm not kidding you. He literally picked a Fox News host to be his new U.S. attorney. Again, this is how he picked his Secretary of Defense. He picked a Fox News host. This is what he does. It's so embarrassing. It's just so completely embarrassing. The only hope is maybe she'll be, she's kind of wild and, wacky. Thank you, Lynn. Yep, we just saw. She's kind of wild and wacky. The only thing, her name is Jeanine Pirro. I will show you. Judge Jeanine. She's obnoxious. she's kind of angry. She's angry and obnoxious, basically, is kind of the best way to call her. But I kind of have a feeling like she might actually be tough on crime. She might actually be tough on crime. So I mean, I'm kind of hoping that maybe she'll actually be a decent hire, right? Because in the end, he's going to get who he wants, but let's hope at least she's less of a crazy person, wow, really crazy. Yeah. Wow. But again, she kind of, she's had a number of TV appearances that have made people question, I'm trying to be nice about this. She's had a number of TV appearances where her speech and her mannerism made people question what was going on. Let's put it that way. But, I don't know. It just made people wonder what was going on with her because her speech and her mannerisms were different. But, I have a feeling she might be tough on crime. Aubrey, we already did the Ukraine update. You missed it. So sorry. There isn't a very big update today, though. The big update today is Ukraine passed the mineral deal. That was sort of the big update from Ukraine, really. But in any case, that's it. Oh my God, that took an hour and 10 minutes. We're going to still hang and talk here, but that took an hour and 10 minutes. Wow, that was actually quite long. So the Attorney General pick. Oh yeah, Bondi. She's a real pick too. Yeah, she's a real piece of work. Yeah. I had to think a second of who the Attorney General was. Yeah, she's a real piece of work. Yeah. Anyway, all right. We are done with the news. Now we will hang out and chat. Je t'en prie, Laurent. We will chat now. So what do we want to talk about? Oh, Surgeon General. Yeah, he picked the Surgeon General thing. He picked somebody with like ties to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the new Surgeon General. I didn't get it. It looks a little weird. I just read about it briefly, but it does look a little bit weird. Top Republicans calling for Pam Bondi to prosecute Aaron Parnas. Oh, come on. Yeah, but are you sure that's not just like crazy people? I'm going to Google this, but my suspicion is they may not. They're not really top Republicans. Let me see. I mean, I want to be. Aaron's only 26. My God, he's that young. Dear Lord, I didn't know he was that young. Well, I don't know that that's true. There's literally no news on Aaron. Yeah. Oh, he reported on it this morning. Okay. Well, I'd want to see what it was. I mean, I like Aaron, but I'd want to know what the story is because now it is quite possible they're going after him because a week ago, Fast Company did a story about him. I will say Fast Company did a story about me 25 years ago as well. Back when I was Aaron's age, or a little older. But once you start getting publicity, people come after you. That's why. Yeah, he's a rising star and people are coming after him. That's exactly why. I didn't see exactly what the reason was or whatever. Probably libs of TikTok. I'm not surprised. Yeah. But this is what they do. Again, this is what you do in a terrorist state. This is what you do in a police state. It's what you do if you're Russia, if you're China, if you're the Soviet Union, right? You come after your political opponents and you basically break the law to come after them. And you use the government to go after them. Democrats don't do this. Republicans tend not to do this. MAGA people do. Republicans generally, previous Republican presidents tend not to do these kind of things either. It's not normal for Republicans or Democrats to basically use the Justice Department to attack its enemies. It is normal for MAGA to do it, sadly. But previous Republican presidents didn't do this, not like this, Oh, he reported upcoming ICE raids. Yeah. I'm sure. I was just going to say, I sort of doubt that Aaron had like the inside scoop on ICE raids. I'm going to guess Aaron was reporting information that was already out there. Yeah. I doubt, I like Aaron, but I doubt Aaron like had a source at the Justice Department giving him the details of upcoming ICE raids. Come on, right? Give me a break. I mean, come on. you know, not to mention he's Aaron Parnas. Why would somebody at Justice be telling him this anyway? But I just don't believe that. Right. And inside, that's cute, Carol. Inside Signal chat. Exactly. No, that's true. He could have gotten added to a Signal chat. That's actually very true. That's true. That's true. Yep. Well, but again, this is what they do. This is what they do. This is on purpose, what they're doing to him. If that's what it is, that's what they do. You take a story. He takes a story that's in the press. He talks about it, and they go, "Oh, look at that guy. He divulged an ICE raid," even though he was literally reading a newspaper story about an ICE raid. He divulged an ICE raid. Go after him. And you sick the government after him. And if the Justice Department goes after him, he's got to spend tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, defending himself against a total bullshit claim. But the idea is to basically punish him and basically bankrupt him. If that's in fact what's happening, that would be the goal. That would be the whole point of it. Yeah. Sick stuff. Very sick stuff. Oh, man. Anyway. Yeah, he is a lawyer. Yes. Which helps in this case. Yes, I know who his dad is. I know. Yes. Kind of interesting figure, his father. I'm kind of hoping the Ukrainians go after the Russians again tonight. Hopefully they do. We shall see. We shall see. Anyway. I don't know. They might go after because of his dad. I don't know. The dad thing. Who knows? Maybe. Oh, now I'm going to yawn at you guys. Oh, excuse me. I got my global entry done today. I'm kind of shocked. They did this thing like basically you can get it in 48 hours, which I did not know. I'm kind of shocked. I thought it took 6 to 12 months. Like my TSA pre-check doesn't end for another year. So I applied now for the global entry. And they literally, within 48 hours, the whole thing was done. I was like, okay, that was weird. So that was good. Anyway. What else, guys? Any other things to talk about or what? Pakistan and India, no news. No news that I saw about them, which probably means Pakistan has not attacked yet. Because the concern was that Pakistan was what Pakistan was going to do in response and whether they were going to overdo it in response. But one hopes that they don't. The new Pope we talked about earlier. New Pope sounds like she's leaving Fox News to be the interim U.S. attorney. Oh, she's the interim U.S. attorney. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think she's the nominee. I am suspicious here. Trump announced she will be appointed interim U.S. attorney. I mean, maybe because it takes confirmation, but the problem was they were running up against a deadline. I read this today. If Trump's nominee to be U.S. attorney in D.C. is not confirmed by the Senate by May 20th, which is 12 days from now, a judge gets to pick the person. And the judge is a big judge that has basically ruled against Trump a lot. And Trump doesn't want that judge to pick the person who's running DC or prosecuting in DC. So they talked about him possibly picking an interim person to basically kind of hold things over while he gets somebody else that he can get appointed and confirmed by the Senate. So what you need to do in checking these stories is see, is she just interim? Like, is she there for the time being and they're actually looking for somebody else? Or is she the person they're getting permanently? I'm a little suspicious about this. We need to, let me look at this, Janine, because I think that might be the story, that they're doing this as an interim thing. Let me see here. Appointing former Fox host, federal prosecutor. Well, she was a former prosecutor. Jeannie Pirro, I'm pleased to announce will be appointed interim. Yeah, sure. I'm not seeing anything that says she's only interim. I mean, it says interim, but interim could mean right now pending confirmation, or it could mean pending the appointment of somebody long term, right? Let's see what New York Times says. No one's making that very clear, which is annoying me, but maybe because it's just she's the final appointee. I love the New York Times. President Trump said on Thursday that he would name the Fox News personality Jeanine Pirro, whose false statements about the 2020 election were part of a lawsuit against the network, to be interim U.S. attorney for Washington. Let me see here. Ms. Pirro has not held a law enforcement job in 2 decades. Right, she's on TV every day, which Trump loves. We know that. Right, he had to name a successor by May 20th. That's the thing I was saying. Well, she supports Trump's efforts to go after political enemies, so that's going to be a problem. Let me see here. Nope. Maybe she's the nominee he wants to get confirmed. Maybe it is the sort of final nominee he's going for. Maybe. Don't know. Anyway, what else, guys? Oh, I'm watching Killing Eve finally. I never had watched that. I just finally started watching it the other day. It's really good. I mean, what's her face? Sandra Oh is great, but it's actually quite good. So Killing Eve on Netflix. So just saying. Oh, my go-to fast food place. I don't have one. I like fast food. I actually like Arby's. I grew up liking Arby's, but I did not dye my hair. Nope. That's the color of my hair. It's brown and gray, very gray. Although I think it's super gray when I come on. When my hair is short, it goes super gray. When it's longer, it's browner, but it's very gray. Short. Unless you mean dye, it's darker. It doesn't look darker today, I doubt. But yeah, Killing Eve, I've been very much enjoying. Yep. Looks blonde. Oh, well, I don't mind it looking blonde, but it's not blonde. No. It's silver. Unless it's getting the bad coloring it gets from I hope it's not. I maybe have to use my shampoo again, because you know how you can get discolored by the water and stuff. Silver fox, exactly. Thank you, Addie, for the gift. No, it's got to be the way the light's hitting it. But I will use that shampoo that gets the yellow out of your hair just to be careful. But yeah, it's got to be the lighting. Nope. I mean, I'm not against dyeing my hair, but as a guy, it's hard because you have to. I talked to somebody about it years ago, and she goes, "You'd have to dye it every 6 weeks," and I was like, "Every 6 weeks? Oh, who wants to do that?" You know. But I know chlorine will mess it up too. Yeah. Thank you, Robert. Yeah, the purple shampoo, exactly. My dad had that problem. Like he never used the purple shampoo in his hair because his hair was like long. It literally started getting like yellow from the chlorine. It was weird. So anyway, I think dyed hair looks good on people if it's done well. But on a guy, literally you'd have to do it like every 6 weeks. You know, Gunther goes, "I dyed my hair brown today." Be careful with that because a lot of times when people do that, they go too dark and it looks kind of weird. So Grosse Pointe Garden Society and NBC. I don't even know what that is. Kind-hearted. I did not see your question. What was your question? I'm trying to scroll back here. Otherwise, I'm actually not seeing. No. I mean, it's hard to see every question anyway, but I'm trying to scroll back and I'm not even seeing your name. Do you mind typing it again? And this time, hopefully I don't lose it. I'm trying to like scroll back because even like the little orange SNN next to your name makes it easier to see. And I'm not seeing it. I'm gonna look one more time, but why don't you try typing it again? Yeah, I'm not even seeing your name pop up. Nope. Okay, nope. Write it again if you would. Yes, Sasha is at least sleeping, which is good. Oh, you're interested on tariffs? I saw they may talk about tariffs. Who? What do you mean? Who's talking about tariffs? On Leo? They're talking about tariffs on. I'm lost. I'm sorry, kind-hearted. You got me a little lost here. The Pope. So we talked about this earlier. The Pope is interesting because 13 years ago he said some bad stuff about gay stuff. He has 2 tweets up in his Twitter account as, Cardinal Prevost or whatever his name was. He's got 2 tweets up. His top tweet is criticizing Donald Trump on immigration. It's kind of a nasty tweet. He's retweeting somebody else, and it's kind of a nasty tweet about Donald Trump. It's actually quite mean in a good way about Trump and immigration. You go down like 2 tweets, and there's a tweet criticizing JD Vance on immigration. And it's kind of a nasty tweet about JD Vance too, about basically not understanding Catholicism. Pretty wild. So yeah, I just think kind of absolutely fascinating. So who knows? He clearly has he does have a humanitarian bent, which is good. He had worked in Peru for 20 years, which is a poor country. That's kind of nice, So who knows? JD Vance is now Catholic. He became a Catholic in 2019. Like, okay, whatever. But let's see. So we shall see. George Clooney. Oh, okay, that works. George Clooney, I'll take. You can always DM me. I don't mind. Kind-hearted, of course. I will try to look for it because, I get a lot of those things on TikTok, but I do try to look. Will Ukraine try to attack the parade? I hope so, but I don't know. Ukraine should try to attack. You're talking about the Moscow parade, of course, tomorrow for the big celebrations in Moscow. I hope Ukraine attacks it. But the one thing Ukraine would have to be careful of is there are a lot of world leaders there, even though most of them they may not care about. You don't want to hurt the Chinese premier. That wouldn't be very good. But they should try to disrupt it, yes, because if they could get the drones nearby, they may have to call off the parade and evacuate everybody. And that would be a dream for Ukraine to pull that off. So who knows, but that would be pretty cool. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to try. They should definitely try. So, what else? Actually, and my geraniums are finally starting to bloom. Where are they? Oop, wrong side. Here we go. Right there, you can see my geraniums are blooming. I'm very excited for TikTok and actually YouTube and Discord. TikTok, I don't know. Oh, there you go. You can see on TikTok. They're right there. You can just see the flowers down there. Woo woo. So very excited about that. Bryce, I don't think so. Bryce says, do you think there'll be international repercussions for going after Russia's parade? No. I mean, the Trump people may not like it, but Trump, whatever. The Europeans would think it was funny, I think. I don't think so. I think any leader there isn't going to be happy. I'm not sure I care. Any leader at Trump's parade isn't going to be helping Ukraine anyway. The Egyptians, the Brazilians. So I'd kind of be like, you know what? I think it's much more important to disrupt the parade than anything else. So no, but there will be repercussions with people we don't care about and people the Ukrainians don't care about, Yeah, Elon's disappeared. That's a good point. Dawn's saying you haven't heard much about Elon today. Elon Musk has kind of disappeared. I didn't even see, did I do it? Did I do the, well, I'm not going to do the other one in Italian. That's the other one. That's either French or Italian. The one that I almost did there. I forget if that's French or Italian. It's one or the other. It's the middle finger in Europe. It might be both. I don't recall. Oh, the arm. Okay, then that's got to be French. The French middle finger is kind of touching your middle. You touch your middle finger like, I'm not going to do it, but it's kind of like that. Yes, that's right. The Italian one is the arm thing. Correct. Yep. Anyway, what else, guys? We're going to end pretty soon. We've been going an hour and 25 minutes. It's a good show today. We got a good number of TikTokers too. I'm glad to see. Grandfather did the Italian one. Cute. But yeah, Elon is intentionally hiding, which is good for him. I mean, good for Tesla. The problem is Tesla, you're toast. I wouldn't touch a Tesla. I rode in a Tesla today with my Uber and I was just like, I didn't say anything. We're not going to attack the woman's car, but I was like, ooh. So yeah. But no, Tesla's gone. Tesla's never coming back as far as I'm concerned. They need to look at Domino's and all these other companies that destroyed their brand. I mean, liberals today still don't really like buying Domino's, even though Domino's is okay now. We're talking 30 years ago, Domino's was bad. And people are still like, ugh, very bad for Tesla. I couldn't care less. Not to mention, Elon's still there, right? Oh, so he's no longer taking the lead in harming millions of children around the world? Oh, okay, thanks. Thanks. But he harmed them, and he's not helping them, and they're still harmed. Millions. So Tesla is responsible for harming millions of children worldwide via Elon Musk. And you're keeping him. So that means you're okay with it. Why would I buy a Tesla? So, yeah. Yeah, Papa John's, all of them. I really do. I think Elon, I mean, Tesla is screwed at this point. They would have to get rid of Elon and apologize to the world, and they clearly don't plan on doing it. So Tesla can go, Trump itself, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, the Domino's things goes back to, I think, abortion in the 1990s, maybe 1980s, 1990s. I think. I don't remember enough of the details now. It must have been the owners were super right-wing Republicans or something like that. I just don't remember. I don't remember the history anymore. But it was a big deal, especially with pro-choice women is what I remember, which is why I think it might have been abortion related. But yeah. Tom Monahan, that's the name. Well, exactly. Home Depot's. I mean, there's a lot of things that are a problem. You can't boycott everything. You know what I mean? Like Home Depot, I can't not go to Home Depot. Sometimes I have to go to Home Depot. And Amazon, I'm not going to boycott. People want you to boycott Amazon. I'm never boycotting Amazon. There's only so many places you can boycott, but, yeah. Well, but Home Time is saying Walmart sold out America for cheap imports. You really want to pay more? I think, I'm sorry, my nose is bad today. I think people are naive if they think Americans are willing to pay more. Oh, we should make it in America. Yeah, we say that. But if I give you the choice of paying 2 televisions and one television comes from China and the other one comes from the US and the US television costs $250 more, you're really going to pay $250 more for your TV? I'm not. For it to be American, there's no way in hell I would pay more. I'm not. Even on Amazon. On Amazon, I might. Something on Amazon, for example, maybe I'd pay more if it was a quality thing. Like if I thought an American car was better, I'd pay more, but that's a quality question. That's because literally saving the money doesn't help because the product is crappy, right? This is driving me nuts today. Saving the money doesn't help, right? If the product sucks. But if the product is good, if all ceteris paribus, as we say in Latin, if all things being equal, the products are equal, I'm not paying more. There's no way. Even $20 or $30 more. I'm not paying $30 more to buy something American if the foreign product is just as good. Are you crazy? And I'm sorry. I think 99% of Americans agree with me. Somebody brought up. Okay, Manana is bringing up maybe a survey on this. Everyone says they'll pay more for Made in America, so we ran an A/B test. We priced a U.S.-made version of our flagship product 85% higher than our Chinese-made one. So they priced a U.S.-made version of our flagship product 85% higher than our Chinese-made one, because people said they'd gladly pay more for American. We make filtered shower heads. Our best-selling model sells for $129. This year, as tariffs jumped, we wondered, could we reshore manufacturing to the U.S.? We found a U.S.-based supplier. The new unit cost us nearly 3 times more to produce. To maintain our margins, we'd have to sell it for $239 instead of $129. So we ran an experiment. We created a secret landing page. The product and design were identical. The only difference, one was labeled Made in Asia and priced at $129. The other, Made in the USA, priced at $239. What they found was, hold on. Not a single customer purchased the Made in USA version. Okay, that's kind of funny. That's very funny. Not a single customer wanted to buy the American one because it cost more. No, I really think this. I don't want to be a curmudgeon, but the bearer of bad news. But I think people who tell you buy American are lying because they would never buy American if it cost more. They wouldn't. Maybe for $2 more, but for $50 more, no way. No way. I wouldn't. you know? Um, oh, that's interesting, Jeffrey. I didn't know that about the mask problem. Yeah. I'm looking for the cheapest option, but also quality. I'm not going to buy something shitty if I can help it. Right. But so like I would pay more if I knew the Chinese version were, honestly, I kind of hate buying stuff from China because I do think the Chinese stuff sucks. But if I knew the Chinese version was crappy, I would pay more for the American version, or I'd look for the European version. Basically, I look at reviews anyway. So I look at reviews of the product and see if it's any good. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is the problem of people that saying we should make it here, like prescription drugs. Trump is planning on raising the prices of prescription drugs from abroad so that people have to buy American instead. But he's going to make us buy American drugs that are more expensive. He's going to force us to buy the more expensive American prescriptions. Thanks. I don't want my prescription prices to go up. Seniors don't want their prescription prices. None of us want our prescription prices to go up. I don't care where my damn drugs are made. Like, right? I just want my prescriptions. People like to think, yeah, I want it made here, but I don't want to pay more. Right? We should make our cars here, but you don't want to pay more. I was looking at the car manufacturing stuff. I was looking at this, and I don't have it in front of me, but I want to say the Mexican. Flaming Mo just wrote, you don't need 30 prescriptions. You can just get by with 2. That's because that's Trump's quote about children with dolls. Remember, your daughter doesn't need 30 dolls. She can just get 2. You can just get 2 prescriptions instead of 30, and you'll pay a little bit more. That's very funny. Anyway, but yeah, Canadian strawberry $6.99, American strawberries $2.99. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. In that case, I'd stop buying strawberries. I don't know that I'd buy Canadian. I would just stop buying the American in that case. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, all right, guys, we're at our hour and a half mark. If anybody's got any final pithy comment you want to make, actually, I was overusing my voice again today. I've got to stop doing that. I keep whenever I do the show, I keep feeling like I'm on stage performing, and I keep projecting, and I don't need to project because I've got the damn mic. I've got my very good Michael Jackson microphone. Thank you, Louise. So I've got mods. You have to keep reminding me to do that. Send me a message, be like, protect your voice, because then I'll start talking quieter again. Yeah, that's right. Eurovision is May 17. That's right. That's in a week, but we aren't going to worry about that yet. We'll worry about that in a week. When is Parker coming on? I don't know when Parker comes. Oh, on us. That's true. I've got to reach out to him again. We had agreed he was going to come on, and then Twitter got shut down and we lost touch. I'll reach out to him again. I forgot about that. Thank you. You're right about that. Yep. Thank you, laddie. But yeah, this was fun today. I thought we had a good show. We got a lot of TikTokers showing up today. That was good. Sasha does get hot during the summer. Yes. Especially now that she's older. She may need a haircut again. When her hair is short, I can tell she's more comfortable. This time, she got her summer cut, but it wasn't quite a summer cut. She needed a shorter haircut this time. So I'm going to need to get her a haircut. We got more trolls. Yeah, but we got more people this time too. I didn't even mention the Pope in my title. We got more people. Anyway. All right, guys, have a good night. So thank you for the gifts. Thank you, mods. I could tell it was a little more fun today with the traffic. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And then remember, Saturday is the show for the paid subscribers. So join us then too. All right. I do walk her every day. We don't go crazy, but we do a good walk every day. Yeah. Sort of afternoon. We take sort of an afternoon walk. We go for half hour, 45 minutes, maybe, just to like kind of get a little exercise and sort of get the wanderlust out of her, All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. All right. Discord. I'll start with you guys. Thank you all. Oops. There we go. Discord. All right. See you, Jeffrey, Manda. Boom. All right. Discord gone. YouTube. Bye-bye. All right. And then TikTok.